Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the module on monitoring and observability. I will be off camera just so we can benefit from the internet bandwidth and don't have issues, hopefully. Okay, this thing again. All right. So before we go on to talk about monitoring in the cloud, I just want us to take a step back and understand what monitoring is all about. So it's the where you have to observe systems, collect metrics, evaluate those metrics over time, and then use them to make decisions or take action. So here I have a picture of, for example, a coffee shop. If you have a coffee shop, you want to know what is happening in your coffee shop. And sometimes you don't have to be there every time. So you might have put a system in place where it is checking what is happening in the coffee shop and letting you know, and then you take action. For example, you might want to know how many cups have been sold for that day, how long are people waiting. So if you see that the people are waiting for too long for their coffee, you then have, let's say, for example, here, you can receive an alert on your phone, or you receive an alert and you then take action. Maybe the action that you will take here is that you increase the number of people who are serving coffee in the shop. You can also be checking at, do we have enough stock for that day? So if you have a certain stock, you know that might not run for the day, then you have an alert on your phone indicating that you are running out of coffee beans, for example, and then you go buy more coffee. So it's the whole point of really putting it in place that you observe your system. You don't necessarily have to be there. If you see that something is not working, which you will know by having setting a matrix, having a threshold of, see, if I reach this level, I need to take action. Then you receive an alert on your phone, or you receive an email or an SMS stating that in the shop now, there are people waiting for too long for their coffee. Then you have to call in more servers to shorten that waiting time. So in a nutshell, that's what happens around monitoring. But then, so today, that's just like a brief overview of what monitoring is. So today we're going to look at monitoring in the cloud, and we want to understand what cloud monitoring is, how it works. We want to look at the approaches that are used for monitoring your AWS environment. We describe the benefits of Amazon CloudWatch, describe the benefits of AWS CloudTrail, and AWS Trusted Advisor. These are, tools that you can use in monitoring or looking at your cloud environment. So again, I gave a general picture of what monitoring is. When you have put systems in place, you want to look at what is happening. So what is monitoring when we come to cloud? So it can be defined as the process of closely observing your cloud-based applications and services. So you have put your applications on cloud, or you have services running on cloud. You want to monitor them, or the process of reviewing and managing the operational overview, workflow, and processes within a cloud infrastructure or an asset. So you generally will have it implemented in an automated way. You don't have to be sitting there and looking at your screen about what is happening within your system. You can set it that you have an automatic monitoring software, which gives you central access and control over the cloud infrastructure. You could be sitting somewhere and looking at what is happening. And if something is not working well, you then take action. So how does cloud monitoring work? So in the cloud, you have a lot of moving parts. You have EC2 here, you have this one running there, you have, let's say, your database running, your storage service there, and you want to ensure that everything is working well. Yeah, you want to optimize the performance. You want to make sure that there are no hurdles, there are no issues. So that's why you will then have to monitor. So the cloud monitoring will then include mainly, let's say you have a website. If you have a website, you need to monitor the website, for example. You're tracking what is happening on your website. What is the traffic? What is the availability of your website? How are the resources being utilized? Yeah, for in the cloud hosted websites. You also have, for example, virtual machine monitoring. Then, for example, your EC2, you're looking at its performance. Yeah, how is the availability of your EC2, for example? What is the health status? Are things working well? Is it healthy? Like, are the configurations well? Is everything going on as you had configured it? So what is the CPU usage? Yeah, what is the memory usage of your virtual machine or of your EC2? Or yeah, what is the disk usage? So you need to monitor what is happening around your virtual machine or your EC2 here. Then you also have database monitoring. So you're monitoring at the processes within your database. You're monitoring the queries that are going into your database. What is the availability of that database? And what are the cloud resources that your database is consuming? You also will monitor your network, the network within, let's say, your VPC. What is happening within your network? What is happening with the connections that you have, with the devices that are important for networking? What is their performance? So you're looking at all of these aspects within your network, and also your storage. You're monitoring your storage resources and the processes that you've provisioned for your virtual machines. Let's say you have an EBS volume, which is the storage that you have attached to your EC2. You're also looking at that storage. Is it getting full? Is the storage enough? Is it being utilized well? Yeah. So you are looking at all these aspects. That's when you're monitoring your cloud environment. You're looking at your database, you're looking at the network, you're looking at the storage, you're looking at the virtual machines that you have on it. Yeah. So then with cloud monitoring makes it easier for you to then identify what is going wrong, the patterns, if there are any potential security issues within your infrastructure. That is something that you will need to check. It's not just putting your resources together and allowing them to just go. Then, of course, if there are things not working, you might come in late. Meanwhile, if you had been monitoring, you can easily identify if there are some patterns, if there is something that is not working well, for example, if your database, if the queries are too high on it that it's not able to perform well, what do you have to do? So that you are observing the system, collecting the metrics and analyzing them and then taking action. So the key capabilities of cloud monitoring will then include the ability that to monitor large volumes of cloud data across the many distributed locations. The potential attacks or compromises, you can identify them by enabling the visibility into your user application and all the behavior around your infrastructure. Then you have to really continuously monitor to ensure that new and modified files are scanned in real time. You need to audit and report the capabilities to manage your security compliance. Like if you have to have something that is should be running in a particular region, and for some reason you see that it's running in another region and it's not supposed to be running there, or you have your S3 bucket, for example, we should not be public, then you see that it's now become public. It's because you've been checking it, and then you need to disconnect from it being public. So that's why you need to continuously monitor your environment, and it's very important in the cloud that you do all of this to maintain the performance and make sure that you get your return value of what you have configured in cloud. So the benefits of cloud monitoring, with cloud monitoring tools, it is essential as they provide monitoring, management, reports, and can even alert you to possible service disruptions. If you have something running, and for example, I mentioned the issue of you having your coffee shop, you're looking at what is the wait time. Like if you have your clients coming and waiting for too long, it's not a good thing, right? So you need to, you are informed that, hey, in the shop, there is a long queue and people are waiting for so long. So what you have to do, you take action, you call on other servers to come in and relieve so that the serving time is reduced. So also cloud monitoring helps in minimizing downtime and optimizing your performance. Again, minimizing downtime here. For example, if you have something running, you have your EC2 running that has just stopped because you were looking at it, you were monitoring, you receive an alert on your phone or on in an email where it sees that something is not working optimally, my EC2 has shut down, then you need to go back now and take action, or you have created a system in such a way that if you have this situation, then something automatically will maybe revive your EC2 or something in that aspect. So what are the ways to proactively manage the cloud and avoid frequent issues? Yeah. For example, your data security. Remember, security is essential in the cloud. So to attain the strict control over your data at all endpoints, minimizing risks, you need to, manage all of this. You have solutions that can scan, analyze, and take action on data before it leaves the network. And this helps to protect against data loss. And it's also important to scan, evaluate, and classify data before it's downloaded to the network to avoid malware and data breaches. Yeah, so then you have, for example, your application programming interfaces, which are the APIs. The cloud can have an array of performance issues from poorly designed APIs. So you want to make sure that you avoid this kind of situation. So you can avoid poor cloud API performance by using your APIs that operate via objects instead of operations. Yeah. Then the APIs with consistent designs and few data type restrictions result in better performance. Again, you want to make sure that you have designed your APIs to perform at their maximum. Then you have an application workflow. So an application's response time and supporting resources are vital to understanding what's hindering the performance. So in this case, you are following an application workflow, which will help you identify where and when there are delays. Yeah. So by monitoring your application workflow, you are able to identify where there are issues and when there are delays. So another way, the benefit of cloud monitoring is you're able to allocate your cloud servers and storage. Again, over provisioning of your cloud services can cost you a lot. Yeah. So what you want to do is you make sure that you have provisioned it the right way. You're monitoring to make sure that if, for example, I'm coming back to an EC2 here again, or if you have your database that is receiving so many queries and is not able to work at the performance that you expect, or you have over provisioned your resources, you want to make sure that something is not disturbing the performance. Then the app performance monitoring tools can then help you find the issues, and then the proper policies and procedures that can help you mitigate sprawl and pull back resource and network use when necessary. Yeah. So if you have in this situation, you have tools that can help you reduce the over provisioning, and then you have to reduce. Let's say if you had started so many EC2 instances that the workload that you're having is not able to use all the resources, you can take some away, and in that case you are not spending too much. So in conclusion, monitoring the cloud requires tools that track performance, consumption, and availability while ensuring that your data is securely transferred. So a proper solution and management will enable you or your company to find a balance between mitigating risk while leveraging the benefits of the monitoring. So again, I mentioned that the elastic nature of AWS services, where they dynamically scale up and down, it is important to really keep a close pulse on your AWS resources to ensure that your systems are working as expected. For example, if you have your EC2 that is overutilized, you can trigger a scaling where more EC2 will be launched. And if you have the one that is underutilized, you trigger a scaling where you have to stop and have less EC2s running. So, or for example, if you have an application that is sending error messages in a way that is looking problematic, you can alert an employee to have a look at what is going on. Yeah. So is there any question on that before we go to the tools? Any question around this overview on monitoring and why it's important that you do that? Okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good morning, please. I have a problem with the API. How do you choose a good API? Because you are talking about getting some I forgot the two types of API you mentioned on their functions. So when choosing an API, what are the things you consider?
When choosing
an API.
So an application programming interface, right? You could have an API. Let's say you have S3, which is you use it in an API, or you have your EC2. It's. So what do you? I don't get the question actually. When choosing an API, when you're designing an API, or
you said you said that API that operates via object instead of operation. I thought that might be API work on everything, and there are not that API does not differ. That's what I used to think.
Okay, so you're using APIs that operate via objects instead of operations. So you have the different ways that you can design your APIs. The ones that will operate via objects, and the other ones that will operate via operations. Ban, can you help here if I'm not understanding well?
No, I think you're on the right track here. Since the difference is, I know it's one of the now we're asking. So this is like a use case scenario. So there are APIs in this case that can operate on operations. There are some that will operate on objects, right? So the advice is you can always pick APIs that operate on operations. And then that operates on objects, by using, as you see, you can avoid poor cloud API performance by using that operate through objects instead of operations. And then also, people can design their APIs, because remember, it's just like, I don't know if you have experience with doing, with designing programs. So programs can be written in a language, and in writing programs, there are always ways in which it can be written. And at times people write very poor written, some programs are designed poorly, right? So which can lead to poor performance. So the question of choosing an API is if you have background in software or in programming, you will always be able to maybe understand what that means. But explaining it, it's more of picking a program that works best or that gives you more performance. And to be able to do that, you need to have a good understanding of programming, or you just follow advice. Like here, you then look, each time you are picking then an API, you look, is this one working on objects or on operations? That will then just be guidance on looking at the documentation. That's what I will add.
Okay, I think I understand.
Okay.
Thanks, man. Okay, so so now we're going to look at the AWS CloudWatch, which is the native monitoring and observability service for resources and application running in AWS and on your on-premises. And it provides you with data and actionable insights to monitor your applications, respond to system-wide performance changes, optimize resource utilization, and get a unified view of the operational health of your AWS environment. So AWS CloudWatch is the native monitoring and observability service for your resources and applications running in AWS and on premises. And this will definitely, when you see in question, what is the monitoring and observability service that you use in AWS for your resources and applications, CloudWatch is the service that you will use for this. So the CloudWatch will collect monitoring and operational data in the form of logs, metrics, and events, providing you with a view of what is happening within your AWS environment, what is happening with your resources, your applications, and the services that you are running on AWS and on your on-premises server. So you can use CloudWatch to detect anomalous behavior in your environment. You can set alarms, you can visualize the logs and metrics side by side. You can take automated actions. Let's say, for example, if you're monitoring your EC2, you have a metric that is, let's say your CPU usage is becoming too high. It means that maybe what you have provisioned is not enough. You need to then launch another EC2 to take up the workload. Then you can also use the CloudWatch to troubleshoot issues and discover insights to keep your applications running smoothly. So how does CloudWatch work? I mentioned that it collects monitoring and operational data, right? And this it does in the form of metrics. And a metric here is a variable that can be monitored. And this metric would allow you to know what is happening within your AWS environment. For example, if you have your EC2, you can look at what is the CPU utilization. How is if you have, for example, an EBS volume, you can look at how is the data in and out of your EBS volume. How is the disk usage of your EC2? How is the memory usage of your EC2? How is the billing? You know, like when you launch an EC2, you're consuming it. There is a cost attached to it. Then how is it? How is in general, when you've identified a metric that you are looking at. I mentioned before that you in your system, you are looking at the metrics you're collecting. You look at if there is a threshold that you had set. Let's say I want to have my CPU, EC2 using, let's say, to 80% utilization. If it reaches 80% utilization, for example, you should launch another EC2 to take up the workload that is coming. So you have a metric, you have a threshold, whether it's the lower or a higher limit. You say, okay, if my EC2 is being used at, let's say, only 20%, then you stop it because it's not being utilized. It means it's not the best way of using your EC2. So you set a threshold, and once that threshold is reached, an alarm will be activated. And this is through a simple notification service. So you link up your CloudWatch with the simple notification service. You set a threshold, and an alarm will be activated once that threshold is reached. Again, for example, if you set a threshold that my EC2 should be used at the maximum, CPU utilization should be at 80%. And if it reaches 80%, an alarm will be sent to you for you to know that, okay, your EC2 is being used at 80%. And then it can also act. I also mentioned that with monitoring, you collect metrics, you observe, and then you see if action needs to be taken. And it can also automatically then set up your scaling in such a way that at 80% of my EC2 utilization, please launch another EC2 instance. Or at 20% of my EC2 utilization, stop it, yeah, for example. So you have metrics working alongside alarms that will then notify you. And this is done automatically. It's not like you're sitting there and doing things manually. For example, I've just put here examples of metrics that you have on your dashboard. There for your CloudWatch dashboard, you're looking at your Amazon RDS metrics. You're looking at your CPU utilization. You're looking at the free storage space. You're looking at what are the right IOPS, the read IOPS, and all of that. These are metrics that you're following within your RDS. You also have metrics for the Amazon EC2. What is the network packet in? What is the network packet out? What is your CPU utilization? What is your memory utilization, and all of that? And also metrics here for your EBS volume. What is the volume read-ups and what is the volume write-ups? Yeah. So you have all these metrics that you've set, and you have like a threshold. Like if my CPU utilization for my RDS is a certain percentage, you either increase the CPU utilization, or you launch another RDS and things like that. So for CloudWatch alarms, I mentioned that the CloudWatch hand in hand with SNS. So for CloudWatch alarms, you use an alarm to automatically initiate an action on your behalf. Again, if you've set a matrix, you've set for my RDS, it should be utilized at 50%. That was your threshold. So once it hits the threshold, it then alerts and then automatically take an action. Whether you're in that case, you said, okay, at 50%, it means you should launch another RDS, or at 20%, don't launch an RDS, instead stop everything because it's not being utilized at the level that you want. So the alarm will watch for a single metric over the specified time period and then perform an action which you have also specified based on the value of the metric that relative to your threshold. Then the action is a notification that is sent to an Amazon SNS topic or an auto-scaling policy. Yeah. So if you say, okay, if you reach 80%, launch another EC2 instance. That's a scaling policy there where it says scale up, increase EC2 instances within my environment. So the CloudWatch alarm feature allows you to watch CloudWatch metrics and receive notification when metrics fall outside of the level. So whether it's a high or a low threshold that you have configured. So yeah, and you can read more about how CloudWatch works here by clicking this link. Then CloudWatch also works by having logs. So your application, once if you have had the opportunity to go on your AWS console, you will see that everything that you run on it, yeah, there are every service will have a log created. So the applications that you run on your AWS environment, they create logs. And these logs are collected, reviewed, and analyzed, and even queried if there is a specific event that you want to look at. Yeah, so CloudWatch collects these logs for all the services that you're running on AWS, and you can, through these logs, look at what is happening. If there is a problem, you can go to the logs and identify where the problem is coming from by reviewing it. And by default, the logs can be kept indefinitely, so they will never expire, but you can always adjust your retention policy for each log group, and by either keeping it infinite or choosing the retention period, you can say, I want to keep these logs for 10 years or 1 year or 5 years or 1 day. But if you don't choose, then the logs can be there for indefinitely. So CloudWatch then works by, being the place where you have all your logs collected. So what are the benefits of CloudWatch? CloudWatch allows you to access all your data, the metrics and the logs from a single platform. So you have, like I just showed you an example of a CloudWatch dashboard. Let's say and you saw for the RDS, the metrics for your EC2 instance, the metrics for your EBS volume, the metrics for all what you have configured within your cloud environment. And it is natively integrated with more than 70 plus AWS services. Yeah. So I also mentioned that it's like can I call it a repository where all the logs and the metrics for your AWS services are collected, and you can then have a view of what is happening within your AWS environment. Then with Amazon CloudWatch logs, you can monitor, process, store, and access log files from Amazon EC2 instances, from CloudTrail, from Lambda function, from VPC flow logs, from so many of the services that you configure in your AWS environment. The CloudWatch logs will let you see what is happening within all those services by collecting the logs. So and again, also with CloudWatch logs, the cloud administrators can troubleshoot your AWS infrastructure and the applications that are running on it. And so each application that you run, you have log files that are being centered in your CloudWatch logs. You can, as an administrator, you can go in there and look at what is happening. If you have issues with your infrastructure, you can look at that. Yeah. Any question on CloudWatch log? So when you hear of CloudWatch log, think of metrics, think of logs. Yeah. Sorry, if you hear of CloudWatch, think of metrics, think of alarms, and think of logs. So silence means no question. I go ahead. So another service that we have is AWS CloudTrail. And AWS CloudTrail is a service that enables governance, compliance, operational auditing, and risk auditing of your AWS account. So AWS CloudTrail will track user activity and API usage within your account. So as the name says, trail. So it's looking at what is happening at any time T within your account. Yeah. So with CloudTrail, you can log, continuously monitor, and retain account activity related to actions across your AWS infrastructure. So if you, with CloudTrail, you will know who logged into your account, who did what within your account, at what time someone did any activity within your account. You have CloudTrail. Again, as the name says, it's like really looking like if you're walking on snow and you see how the footsteps, someone's footsteps, if you're walking on snow, for example, it's trailing. It's like if you take dust and you're walking, you see dust, you see where it's going. So if you have that imaginary thing about CloudTrail, it's really that service that will help you know what has been happening in your account at any one time T. So that, for example, if someone were to come and is auditing your account to see that you are being compliant in what you said you are compliant with, they will know what happened at each time, who logged in, who did what at any one time. And the logs from your CloudTrail also go to your AWS CloudWatch logs. So it provides an event history of your AWS account activity. And this includes actions that you've taken, whether you've taken actions via the AWS Management Console, whether through the AWS SDKs, command lines, and other AWS services. So it keeps a history of what has been going on within your AWS account. Again, it's about what is happening within your AWS account. And this type of history keeping helps simplify security analysis and resource change tracking and troubleshooting. So for example, if you were running an EC2 and then of a sudden it stops and you are not the one who stopped it, you can know what happened, who did what, who stopped it. Yeah. In addition, you can use CloudTrail to detect unusual activity in your AWS accounts. Like if you see a lot of logins in your AWS accounts, a lot of activity when you're not even the one who is doing that, you can know what is happening within your account. So all these capabilities will help simplify operational analysis and troubleshooting. So if something happens, you can come back and look at who did what at what time. Yeah. So for AWS CloudTrail, the benefits again are that you can use it for security analysis and troubleshooting. It simplifies compliance. Like, yeah, if you say if this is the person who owns this account, then it should be that person logging in. And if you have someone else who has hacked into your account, you can identify that. So it provides visibility into your user and resource activity, and also security automation. And another part of AWS CloudTrail is AWS CloudTrail Insights, which is allows AWS users to identify and respond to unusual activity associated with RIDE API calls by continuously analyzing the CloudTrail management events. So with your CloudTrail insights, you can use it to identify and respond to unusual activity associated with RIDE APIs. Another service is, sorry, before I go to that, any questions on CloudTrail? Okay, I take silence as.
Just a moment. There is a question from Balon Leslie on the chat.
Okay.
I can read that out. Is there a way a user can delete your CloudTrail? And how can you protect your CloudTrail from being hacked? So she's trying to understand if there's a way a user can delete CloudTrail and also protection for CloudTrail from being hacked. Yeah.
Okay, if someone can delete your CloudTrail.
Yes, she's asking, is there a way a user can delete your CloudTrail? Yeah.
And I guess when she says CloudTrail here is CloudTrail log.
I'm very sure, but let's see, can you, yeah, surely CloudTrail log, because CloudTrail, the service cannot be deleted.
Yeah.
But unless, yeah, if you're able to talk, you can come on. If not, yeah, just write again. But I'm sure you mean CloudTrail log, because you cannot delete the service. Yeah.
You cannot delete the service. So again, the service, yeah. So it's like if someone comes into your account, they can delete the log. Someone can delete the logs that you have in your like if someone who is malicious just wants to do something, they can delete the CloudTrail log, if that's what you mean. And of course, for your account, how can you prevent it is by, for example, from someone hacking or someone having unauthorized access to your AWS account. You can have multi-factor authentication on your account. Because CloudTrail is not your account itself, it's just a service that you can use to know what is happening within your account at any one time. You log into your account with your user name and password. Did I answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. So for the multi-factor authentication, I need to okay, you're going to give me a password, then I can log into my account, right? What is that? Because is that a way? Does it work like and what if I forget my password? Or how can I still get my information?
What if you forget your password? But I'm not getting her very well.
I mean, does it work like VPN? Like they give you a password, then you see that you use to log into your account. What if I forget the password or the password gets missing? Can I see?
So the way the way the AWS, the way your AWS account is, so you have your AWS account that allows you to access the console. You have your username and your password. So you usually will have what is called the root user. And the root user is the one that creates the account, and then there is where your billing and everything will be going to via your root user. Then you have to create a user that you are not, because for the recommendation is that you should not use your root user for doing your everyday activities on your account. So you create a user that will be like an admin user that has the right to do things within your account. So when you log into your account, you have your password and your user ID and your password. Then you can configure a multi-factor authentication on your account, which is one of the things that is recommended. And this is so that someone cannot just, for example, if your password is just laying around, they can just log into your account. And once you have the multi-factor authentication, which you can, which can be virtual, and most of us use the virtual one, it means for someone to be authorized, for you to even get into your account, you need to provide that extra, authentication that you are really the one that is logging to that account. Once you have the multi-factor authentication on your account, you have to put it in order for you to access your account. So if your password is missing, or if you can't remember your password, then you can always then you need to go via your root account, which of course is not something that you have to also not keep it well, that you can misplace it, because as a user within your account, you need to have access to your root ID in order to access your user account within your AWS environment. So I don't know whether if you misplace your user your password, you can always have a new password, but you have to have it through the root user now, because as a user, you cannot just change your password. You have to log into your root user account in order to change the password for the user. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to add something there, Vero. I know just let's scan for everyone. Also remember, you see this also in higher services for you. I think your question also added what if your CloudTrail is deleted. So you'll come to learn about, remember we did talk about encryption. You can have your CloudTrail logs encrypted, or you have something where we always do a CloudTrail log integrity check, which is when each time CloudTrail has its information delivered, you want to check if someone deleted it, if someone modified it, because the log is very important. The CloudTrail log is very important. In your AWS account, it says who did what and when. So you always have that. So if someone was to get into your system and let's say deleted an EC2 instance and then went and modified the CloudTrail log, you will not be able to find who exactly did that. But to be able to make sure that your CloudTrail log file is never modified, or if it's modified, you will know. That is always done using what you can do it by encryption, or you can do a CloudTrail log file integrity check. But that's a very detailed discussion that you will see in the solutions architect, as you said, course. Yeah, good. You're thinking ahead and asking those questions. But as usual, for now, just make sure you understand what CloudTrail as a service is, and what it can, what it does, or why will you need it, and then more details you'll keep seeing as we go along. Yeah, just wanted to add that. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, good.
Okay, so if there is no other question on CloudTrail, we go to another service which is called the AWS Trusted Advisor. And I think you have come across this in the billing section, where we have the plans. It's mentioned AWS Trusted Advisor. So it's the AWS Trusted Advisor is an online tool that provides you real-time guidance to help you provision your resources following the AWS best practices using the 5 pillars, which are cost optimization, performance, security, fault tolerance, and service limits. And the benefit of Trusted Advisor is that it helps check you and optimize your AWS infrastructure. It increases the security and performance, and then reduces your overall cost, and also monitor service limits. So whether you're establishing a new workflow, developing an application, or as an ongoing improvement, you can take advantage of the recommendations provided by Trusted Advisor on a regular basis to help keep your solutions provisioned optimally. And for each plan, you like for a basic plan, you do have Trusted Advisor, and if you remember, it can do 7 checks for a basic plan. So for each AWS account, which is a basic plan, you can have a Trusted Advisor, which for the basic plan can do 7 checks, if I remember well. During your billing and pricing, you touch on this. You have full checks when you go higher in your plans, but for the basic one, you do 7 checks with AWS Trusted Advisor. So this is for example, for cost optimization, it will help you save costs with actionable, cost, and monitor your service limits recommendation by analyzing the usage, the configuration, and the spend, yeah, in your AWS, what you have configured. So for example, it will identify idle RDS database instances, underutilized EBS volumes, unassociated elastic IP addresses, and excessive timeouts in your Lambda function. So, and because all of these cost you money, right? So if it sees that your RDS is idle, rather than it just consuming without doing something, you take the action of stopping the RDS. If your EBS volume is being underutilized, you can provision the one that is not that would take, that will be just enough for you for what you need for your workload. And if you have Lambda functions that are already timed out, you can look into this. The advisor will give you advice around this cost optimization, how you should not to be spending a lot. Then for the performance, it helps you improve the performance of your AWS environment. For example, it can analyze the EBS throughput and the latency. I mean, it can look at the compute usage of your EC2 instances and the configurations on your cloud front. Yeah. So it will check on how your AWS, what you've configured in your environment is performing. Then for security, it also will help you improve on your security. Yeah. So for example, it can identify if there are some RDS security groups with risk. That risk access, you have exposed access keys, you have, let's say, unnecessary S3 bucket permissions. Let's say your S3 bucket that should not be public. You realize that all your S3 buckets are public, then it will identify this for you and advise on what you can do. Of course, you need to make your S3 bucket private. You need to take care that your keys are not being exposed, that the security groups that you have permitted that can access your RDS are not putting anything at risk. Yeah, so it checks on the security. Can also check that you have, let's say, that you have multi-factor authentication on your account, on your AWS account, on your root account. For example, you should have multi-factor authentication on it. Check that your S3 buckets are not public, for example. So for fault tolerance, it can also improve the reliability of your cost and monitor your service limits, including examining auto-scaling of your EC2 groups, the deleted healthcare checks on your Route 53, the disable availability zones and disable RDS backups. For example, if you don't have RDS backups, it will let you know that your RDS is not being backed up. You need to check that you are backing it up in case there is a fault. You might just lose your. Yeah. Then for service limits, so for some services you have a maximum quota for that service. So service quotas are the maximum number of resources that you can create in your AWS account. So the trusted advisor will also advise you on that. Maybe you are reaching your quota, or and then actions that you can take. So it will notify you once you reach a certain quota of a service. Let's say 80% of a service quota, it will notify you that you're reaching the service quota of a particular service, and you can then follow up to either delete resources or request that a quota be increased. So for trusted advisor, it will check on the first these 5 best practices: your service limits, the performance, the cost optimization, fault tolerance, and security. So performance, service limits, fault tolerance, cost optimization, and security. Any questions on trusted advisor? Okay. Another service is AWS X-Ray. AWS X-Ray helps developers analyze and debug production and distributed applications, such as those built using a microservices architecture. So with X-Ray, you can understand how your application and its underlying services are performing, and you can identify, also troubleshoot the root cause of performance issues and errors. And so for example, in your exam, you might be asked, what is the service that you can use to analyze and debug production, and it's analyze and debug. If you hear anything about analyze and debug, AWS X-Ray will help you do this. Yeah. So it provides an end-to-end view of the requests as they travel through your application and shows a map of your application's underlying components. So you can use X-Ray to analyze both applications in development and applications in production, from a simple 3-tier application to complex microservices applications consisting of thousands of services. As for some configurations or some things that you have configured in AWS, you could have a lot of services together, and X-Ray will help you analyze what is happening at each level. So it goes through your application and sees, analyze it, and if there are issues, and debugs and all of that. So what are the advantages of AWS X-Ray? It can help troubleshoot performance, like if there are bottlenecks in your application, it will help to troubleshoot that. It understands dependencies in a microservice architecture, like rather than having your architecture as monolithic, you can build your applications such that they are not, you use other microservices to link up your different tiers of the application, rather than having it just one. You have a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. It can help understand the dependencies within that. It can pinpoint service issues, like if you are running your application, it can identify that something is not right. And then it reviews the request behavior, what is happening within your application. Let's say there are a lot of requests that are coming through. It can look at how the requests are coming through your application. Then it finds errors and exceptions, and then it can also check whether you're meeting the service level agreement. Like if the service if you had indicated that your performance, that your application will be running 100%, you might realize that based on the agreement that you have about your application, it's not really running as it should be, as per the service agreement. And where your application is throttled, it can also identify that, and it identify users that are impacted by what is happening within your application. Any question on AWS X-Ray? Okay. So we have the AWS status service health dashboard. And this service health dashboard shows all regions and all services health. So if the service health dashboard, you see it shows what is happening in the regions. And this is a picture of what the service health dashboard looks like. Sorry. So you have North America, for example. Here we've just zoomed in on Europe. You have what is happening in the API gateways in Frankfurt, in Ireland. Is the service running normally? Is it not running normally? You will have it on the dashboard. If something is not running normally, rather than a green tick, you will have something. You have a red here. Let's say if API gateway in Ireland is having issues, you can see that. So it shows historical information for each day, and has an RSS feed that you can subscribe to. So RSS means really simple syndication. Sorry, this bullet should not be there. So you can see what is happening at each region, and you can subscribe to the feed so that if there's something happening, you can receive alerts that will inform you, like, if you have your things running, let's say in Europe, you can receive alerts for what is happening in terms of the health of all the services in Europe. You can receive the alerts. So the service health dashboard shows the health of all the services that are running in all regions. Yeah, all services in all regions. You can get into the dashboard and see what is happening. Then the AWS Personal Health Dashboard provides alerts and remediation guidance when AWS is experiencing events that may impact you. So there is the Service Health Dashboard and there is the Personal Health Dashboard. The Service Health Dashboard shows you what is happening across all regions and for all services. But the Personal Health Dashboard will provide alerts and guidance when AWS is experiencing events that may impact you. So know the difference. Personal and the global service, the ones that looks at everything, but personal, as the name says, is about the health of the services that are yours, that are running on AWS. And this, it will provide alerts and guidance on what you should do if it impacts you. So while the Service Health Dashboard displays the general status, the personal one will give you a personalized view into the performance and availability of your AWS services. Personal and status and service health, two different dashboards. One, personal, is the one that involves you, issues that are impacting your AWS services. And the Service Health Dashboard is the general status of the services for all regions. So the dashboard, the personal dashboard will display relevant and timely information to help you manage the events in progress, and will provide a notification to help you plan on your scheduled activities. So with the personal dashboard, alerts are triggered by changes in the health of your AWS resources, giving you visibility and guidance to quickly diagnose and resolve the issues that are impacting you. For example, a personal dashboard will give you a personalized view of the status of your AWS services that power your applications. It will enable you to quickly see when AWS is experiencing issues that impact you. In the event of, let's say, a lost EBS volume associated with your Amazon EC2 instance, you will be able to gain visibility quickly and then take action to save your EC2 instances so that you don't lose your data. Yeah, so it will help you troubleshoot and determine what the root cause is. Any question on the health dashboards? It's important that you know the difference. Is there any question?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes?
Yeah, I just want to thank you, Lady V, because I had this mix-up when you were talking about the AWS Cloud Wash. You talked about the metrics and the alarms. So I was like asking myself that, is there no service that can show you the general view of all the services where how they are being run, and where you can check the threshold of each service. When you came up with this AWS X-ray, I was really clear about that, because that enables you to see the general monitoring of each service in the regions and availability zones, as you've explained. I just want to applaud you for clarifying me. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. But do you understand for the CloudWatch what the metrics is? The metrics that you're looking at, the what is happening when you have alarms and all of that. Again, for your matrix, once you've chosen it, you need to, there is a threshold to say you have the lower limit and the upper limit. And once the lower limit is hit, an alarm will be set up. An alert would come to you like, okay, your lower limit has been reached, you need to take action. Or your upper limit has been reached, you need to take action. So you have that threshold, minimum and maximum, high or low, if you put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. I just like you explained, when you get to your threshold, get into 80, depending on what you have configured.
Yes.
If it gets to 80, if you say 50, when it gets there, we'll set an alarm, an alert for you to react immediately. The question that I could ask was that, what are the goals? You could get about 7 different alarms in your email. Which of the ones that will really make you to stop everything and react to? Will it be the one for 80 or the one for 50? Or I don't know. That was where I was also so mixed up.
Yeah, so again, yeah, if you set the alarms, it means if something is happening, you check this and take action. Take action. Sometimes the action is already embedded, automatic, like for the scaling. If I reach 80% utilization of my EC2, please launch another EC2.
Okay.
Yeah, you understand. So it depends on what you have, what the action should be when something happens. What should be the action? If, let's say, if it is 50%, I get an alert. If my EC2 is being utilized, let's say the CPU utilization is just 20%, please stop it. Stop my EC2 instance. You understand?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay. So we will just go through, I think we have, if there are no further questions, sorry, any other question on this, but it's important for someone to really know when we say the service health dashboard and the personal health dashboard, it's important for you to know the difference. Questions will always come around here. I don't want to just focus on questions, but to understand what is the difference between a service health dashboard and personal health dashboard, okay? So if there are no further questions, we will go and just have a recap of what we did today.
Pero there is a question on the chat.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so it's about trusted advisor. So trusted advisor has several checks that it can do. What I mentioned about those are the best practices. Yeah, the best practices for the checks based on the best practices, the performance, security, service limits, fault tolerance, and cost. It doesn't mean that so the trusted advisor will check. There are many more. Remember that for other plans, trusted advisor, it says that it does the full check, meaning there are still more checks that the trusted advisor can do. But what I just mentioned is about the best practices, because you want to make sure within your the best practices as per your well-architected framework that you have, your cost optimization, you have the performance, you have service limit, you have fault tolerance, and you have security. So there are many more checks that the trusted advisor will do. For the basic plan, there are 7 checks, but the one that I mentioned about the 5, this is about the well-architected framework where it checks for this. Is it clear? Did I lose you people? Is it okay? It's clear. Yeah. All right. So let's go to some revision. A few questions before our time. We have 8 minutes. So question 1, I'll let. All right. I'll let someone read, just so that I'm not the only one talking, and I will just call. Alvin, can you read, if possible, please? Just going by the first name. It's in alphabetical order, so. Alvin. Okay. Can you
read.
Okay, read, please.
If a resource is deleted in AWS, which service should you use to investigate first? A, CloudTrail, B, CloudWatch logs, C, personal health dashboard.
Yeah.
You can put
Lawel is laughing. Can you explain why you say, hey, Lawel, you're laughing? It's like, you know why.
No, I saw the answer when she was shouting. But then, yeah, CloudTrail for wait. CloudTrail use metric. I know there's metric something that.
Any other one? I can see Elsie has A also. Okay, so many A's. Okay, good. Yeah, the right answer is indeed A. So it's a resource that is deleted. The resource is deleted in your AWS account, right? So we mentioned that CloudTrail gives record of what is happening within your AWS accounts. So if a resource is deleted, you can use CloudTrail to know what was deleted, who deleted it, and at what time it was deleted. Yeah. And of course, if the CloudWatch logs, the CloudWatch logs is the logs that takes from different resources and stores it in CloudWatch logs, what is happening, the logs from all other services put in CloudWatch logs, and personal health dashboard for sure is not where you will be looking. Question 2. We have 5 minutes. Someone should read. I've been talking all morning.
So which CloudWatch feature would you use to trigger notifications when a metric reaches a threshold you specify? A, CloudWatch events, B, CloudWatch logs, C, CloudWatch alarms, D, CloudWatch triggers.
Okay, I can see C on the chat. Okay. Can see 3 more C's. Good. Yeah. Yeah, CloudWatch alarms is the feature that will allow you to watch CloudWatch metrics and to receive notification when the metrics fall outside of the levels that you configured. Yeah, high or low threshold. Yeah. Okay. What is this? Okay, 3 more minutes. I will read this one. Which AWS service helps developers analyze and debug production as well as distributed applications? A, CloudWatch. B, X-Ray. C, Service Health Dashboard. D, CloudTrail. Developers to analyze and debug production. Which service? A, can see 2 Bs. There are not just 2 people in class, please. Can I see more answers? Okay. Can see 3 Bs. Okay. All right. Yes. Yes, the answer is B. X-Ray will help developers analyze and debug production. Distributed applications such as those built using a microservices architect. All right. We have 2 more minutes. Let's do 1 more. Which AWS service provides alerts and remediation guidance when AWS is experiencing events that may impact you? A, Service Health Dashboard. B, CloudWatch. C, Personal Health Dashboard. D, CloudTrail. Okay. And see 3 C's. I need more answers. We don't have only 3 people in class. I can only see Balon, Elsie, Lawe. Those are the people answering. That's Sally, thank you. Lawe. Another one, a name that I haven't seen before. One more. Okay. Yeah, so this is the last one that we talked about. So the Personal Health Dashboard provides alerts and remediation guidance when AWS is experiencing events that may impact you. Okay, good. We stop here. There are more questions and you will receive them in the slides. Okay. All right, good. I think we are just at the top of the hour. I hope I wasn't too fast again this time around, but I'm happy that we were able to cover the material and at least have the chance to answer a few questions. Good, but I think I'm done.